So, you're all caught up in the Cosmere and now you want to know what's next. Well, in today's video, we're going to be looking ahead to see what's in store for the Cosmere in terms of release dates and expected books. Also speculating on the ever-looming adaptations. Now keep in mind that all of this is tentative, and so is subject to change. All the information I give you will be the most recent updates Brandon has given in his videos and live streams. You can use the chapter select at the bottom to speed the video ahead to each section, and at this time frame, I reveal the entire rough schedule I've come up with if you'd rather just skip to it. And without further ado, let's get into it. 2023. This year, rather unexpectedly, has been a busy year for Cosmere content, thanks to the Year of Sanderson Kickstarter, which has been blessing our households with monthly swag boxes. Now, unless you're living under a rock, I'm sure you already have heard all about it, but essentially, Brandon, in secret, wrote 4 books and coined them the Secret Projects.
And I might have gone a little overboard, because I've written 5 extra novels in the last 2 years.
And they have been releasing throughout this year alongside his monthly boxes. Despite some semi-annoying delays with the physical special editions, the boxes have been as promised. This is a hefty book, and it looks good. It looks really good. In January, we got Tress of the Emerald Sea, a Cosmere book set further along the timeline on a completely unique planet, following a young girl who falls in love and has an obsession with cups. In April, we got Secret Project number 2, The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England, which is a very long title. That is not Cosmere related and has had mixed reviews. In July, we are expected to get Secret Project number 3, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which will likely be one of the most visually striking Cosmere books, and similar to Tress, takes place on a new planet with a unique magic system. Also in July, the Brotherwise Games Kickstarter for the Stormlight Archive figures should be shipped out. These miniatures and pre-painted figurines have given us an official look for many of the characters in the Stormlight Archive, and the statue portraying Kaladin versus Szeth is a must-buy for any fan. And finally, in October we will be getting the final and most Cosmere-connected book in Secret Project number 4, The Sunlit Man. This book is, I believe, the furthest along the timeline we have ever been in the Cosmere, teasing a more space-age feel. Now, I won't spoil it here, but the reason this is the most Cosmere connected is because Nomad, the main character in this book, is actually a well-known character in the Stormlight Archive, with Nomad just being his alias. To close out the year of 2023, on November 21st at the Dragonsteel Convention, Defiant, the final book in the first arc of the Skyward series, will be released. Now, this is also not Cosmere related, but instead part of Brandon's young adult series, taking place in the Saitoverse. This is relevant though, because this marks the beginning of Brandon putting more of his focus on finishing the Cosmere, which he has estimated will total 35-ish mainline books. Now, based on all the teasing Brandon has been doing, and based on what he said in his State of Sanderson 2022, I would be surprised if we don't have some sort of movie or show announcement by the end of 2023, or beginning of 2024. And if we estimate that from announcement to finished product is around 2 to 4 years, this would give us a potential show or movie release date sometime between 2025 to 2027. Brandon has hinted toward an Era 1 Mistborn movie trilogy coming first, and then after having some experience tackling Stormlight Arc 1 as like a television show. 2024. This is probably the single most important year for the Cosmere thus far, for it marks the end of the first arc in the Stormlight Archive series, with the release of Knights of Wind and Truth, which is the working title for Stormlight 5. So we will see if Brandon, famous for his endings, is able to land the ending to his most popular series. Stormlight 5 is expected to release at Dragonsteel 2024 sometime in November. Brandon has been optimistic about the progress he has been making on Stormlight 5, already about 50% done with his first draft.
5 is, bing, 48%. So we are moving right along.
That being said though, Stormlight 5 is a very important book, so if there was ever a book to push back and give it more time, it would be this one. Next up in 2024, we have the recently delayed Words of Radiance Leatherbound Kickstarter. In a recent weekly update, Brandon expressed concerns in asking people to back yet another Kickstarter before having fulfilled the Year of Sanderson, especially when taking into account the Secret Project Special Edition book delays. So the Kickstarter for Words of Radiance has been pushed back and is expected to go live in the spring of 2024. Also worth mentioning is that Dan Wells has been brought on board at Dragonsteel to assist in writing Cosmere books. So I imagine we will get some sort of tease or first look at whatever it is he has been working on. Brandon has mentioned that the books Dan writes will suit his interests and writing style, so it could be horror themed. 2025 and beyond. After finishing Stormlight 5, Brandon has stated his next set of books would be the 1980s themed Mistborn Era 3, alternating with the 2 Elantris sequels. The order after that gets a bit more speculative. We know that he has to work on the back 5 of Stormlight, 6 through 10, then the Dragonsteel trilogy, which should give us Hoid's backstory on his home planet of Yolin, which will show us the shattering of Adonalsium and feature quite a lot of dragons, which Brandon has been using sparingly. Next up, we could get the long-awaited Warbreaker sequel, and to cap off the Cosmere, Brandon has said that the Mistborn Era 4 Space Age trilogy will end the Cosmere. But somewhere in between all of this, Brandon also has to write an Aether trilogy, a Threnody novel, a potential cyberpunk Mistborn trilogy taking place between Eras 3 and 4, along with any number of standalone novels. It's not an exaggeration to say that that is a lot of Cosmere books. Combine that with potential adaptations and other merchandise, and we're going to be getting a whole lot more Cosmere content for years to come. And I'm here for it. For more Cosmere invested content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time.